Yeah, I know what you're saying, man. It's crazy. Oh, yeah, I'm hitting. He wants to do some mixes, so don't worry about it. Look, the next thing we're going to do is the strings. Strings are very important. They've been very popular the last several years in hip-hop and everywhere else. The cool thing about strings, they're so raw and hard-hitting. What we tend to do, though, is lower them down. There's a lot of reverb on them. And bring them up when you have to bring them up or bring them down. That's important. Check this out. It'll help you with the strings. Yeah, I know. She's bad, son. Okay, I got this part here. I've got some strings coming up here. I think they're right here. There they go. Now pan back up here for me, Ralph. Now you're gonna see here, we got my strings. I'm gonna try and automate these strings. They're right here. I'm gonna stop it again. We'll go back to the beginning of that phrase. And now, with strings, I like to add a lot of reverb. So they sound real lush in the background, kinda, and the actual sound could be a little bit further down the mix. So you heard how that sounds there. I've got some reverb set up on the auxiliary track, which is right here. So I'm going to call my string abbreviation, right there, STR, verb. That's my string verb now. I have my bus. Let's pan back up a little bit around, just a little bit up here. Right there. You see right there is this bus here. Move this up here. This is going to, right there, that's going to 910, which is sending the signal out of here directly into right here, which is 910. So we're sending the signal of the string through a separate output amp into my reverb. So I have one sound, which is right here, which is my dry sound, and right here's my reverb of that same sound, reverbed out. Now watch this. Pan back a little bit for me, Ralph. Yeah, bring it back a little bit. There we go. Right there is perfect. Now I'm going to play from the top again, from this bar 4, as you can see right there. I'm going to lower these strings down. I'm bringing the reverb way up. Now stop it. Hit the reverb. The reverb sustains. So the sustains more on the track. I'll press play again. I can adjust my reverb. A little more pre-delay. That's my reverb plugin. Now a plugin, as you can use in most softwares today, including Reasons and Pro Tools, Logic, and Digital Performer, we use plugins to add effects to particular sounds or add effects into auxiliaries. In this case, the effect is in the auxiliary, and the sound is going out of the auxiliary. We're sending it or busing it into the auxiliary mix track, which is right here, as you heard. Now I'll play the same part without the reverb, and hear the difference. Here it comes. This is my reverb now. Now here's reverb. So I'm putting it down. I'll pull it down even more. And we get more of the reverb effect than we do of the original sound. This way it gives it much more fullness, like it's in the air somewhere, and it's not way out front. Once we add the music in, we need to get a good balance between the strings and also the rest of the keyboards. You got to remember, the strings are on a different frequency level than everything else is. The drums are in their own frequency, the bass is in the bass frequency, and the keyboards are somewhat in the same frequency together. So we have to make sure that when we have stuff in a mix, they don't collide and cancel each other out. So in this case, I like to make sure that the string and the string verb maintain that same balance. I want to make sure they're going to be the same group. That means when I move them, they're going to be that one group that's going to be my string group. I move to my string group, I make sure they belong to the same group, and now when I move these two tracks, see, they all move together. I pull it down, I pull it back up, I've got my string verb, my string here, and my string verb right there. And now I can check how they sound in the mix. I'll turn the solo off, and I'll play it back from the same spot in the song. And now I'm going to make sure my volume's right so you can hear it, and I'll press play start. Sounds pretty good to me so far. That sounds good. But I might want to fade it out. So we'll pan back down here to, I pan right back over here to our mixing board. And then we're going to check this out. And we'll zoom a little bit out, a little more here for us. Right there's perfect, Ralph. And now we're going to play it back from the same spot. I've got my string set right here, and the auxiliary, which has the reverbs right there. I'll press play start, but first I'll make sure I arm my tracks. And make sure I've got this armed for the automation of this mix. Fade it out. And we got a mix. Make sure it's right. I'll play it back from the same spot and see how she sounds. Automated now. The important thing, we're going to try to make it so it's quiet in the verses and a little more action happening in our chorus.